and welcome to this painting video for Blood Bowl Season 2, Varag Ghoul Chewer. So it's a beautiful model, and I'm really keen to get some paint on it. So what we're going to do is, he's got some really interesting details on him. I'm going to do his primarily black armour. Obviously he's got some metal aspects on there, some sort of cloth and things like that. So without further ado, let's get going. So we're going to start with his trousers. And I think the easiest way to do that, we're going to start with Steel Legion Drab. Give it a shake. And we're going to a bit on our palette with a bit of water. And there we go. So let's start going. So his trousers all seem to be around the back, don't they? So nice even brush strokes. You may need 2 coats on this, guys. Okay, I went down the middle. So I've not decided what team colours do for my orcs, but I figure that Varag Ghoul Chewer probably always sort of looks the same, or very similar. So I do him like traditional sort of black orc look. Although for my orcs themselves I may pick a different team colour, who knows. Okay. So obviously at this point he has skin obviously as well, doesn't he? There we go. I'm getting there. So nice and easy. Keep building up those layers of colour. Okay, I'm going to finish that bit off and then come back to you. Okay, so while the trousers are a couple of layers is drying, I'm going to start applying some metal. So I'm going to start with Citadel's lead Belcher, and the idea here is that we're going to put down some of the base of the metal. Okay, we'll use lead Belcher. It's a nice sort of dark colour, and it sort of really makes things pop. So I've got things like the bottom of his feet, and the areas that we're going to do black we're actually leaving. Okay, so I've got bottom of his feet, things like this chainmail aspect here. Yeah, just apply it nice and smooth. Just because it's a metallic paint doesn't really change anything, still water it down, so on and so forth. So go to the foot, haven't we? We'll do the bottom of his feet. I imagine somebody like Varag would have pretty good soles on his shoes. Over here, he's got like this sort of back of his hand here. We'll do that silver, or metallic as it will eventually be, not silver. That's befitting an orc. Okay, doesn't matter if we go over slightly on these aspects here, guys. We're going to be neatening it up as we go on later on. So buckle. We're just picking them out as we go, really. These areas on the end of his tusks. Picking it out as we go, applying that base layer down for us. Shout out if you see any more. Buckle in there. Got one on the top of his armour. The ghoul that's on his shoulder really is something that doesn't have so much metallic on it, and his helmet here does have a small aspect there, so we'll do that now. Straps and buckles and things like that is what we're looking for. We're also going to break up the armour, so we're going to do this pauldron. Is it a pauldron? If it's on the shoulder, somebody who's a bit more military armour minded might be able to explain that to me. Nice and smooth. Get the application down. There we go. And it's just about building it up. Think about the layer that you need down first at this stage. Okay. Don't be afraid to thin your paints. He's got like this blade here, hasn't he? I'm just going to get a little bit more paint out of the pot. Sounds like a handle on the side of it, so it's like a, I don't know, it's like a knuckle duster, I guess, is it? It's a blade to play Blood Bowl with. Oh, so we're getting there, aren't we? There we go. Back to his armour aspects there. We'll go around this one as well, because we want to sort of balance the miniature out as best we can. There we go. Okay, so we've just applied the silver onto the areas that we're sort of picking out. Missed the one of the main ones, though, it's belt buckle. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. So we're going to let that dry. Any areas that you see where you just think, oh yeah, I just want to go over that again. Now's the time to do it. Don't be afraid to put two thin coats down. Build it up. That's what it's all about. Build it up. The tusks. If you build it up now, there's a smooth sort of layer. It'll really help you in a bit. Okay. There we go. So that's the stage. I'm going to leave that to dry. Then we'll come back and pick out the darker leathers. Okay. So he's coming along. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to touch all the extra bits of brown, guys. Okay. And we're going to use Mornfang Brown from Citadel. And once again, be no surprise to you, it's a bit on the palette. A touch of water. And away we go. And we're looking things like his boots, guys, you know, things like that. So he's got these Blood Bowl boots, I guess. Things when you're painting like sorts of cloths and browns. A couple of different shades of browns really help break it up. And you know what, if you just wanted to do them all the same colour to get your model on the pitch, it's your model, you know, it's your model. Do as you will, but I just prefer to break my browns up a little bit. Just adds a bit of interest and detail, so to speak, to the miniature. It just draws the eye, you know. He's such a lovely model that it's worth just doing that extra touches, I think. So you know here I'm avoiding the silver that we've applied, but I'm not too fussed if it goes onto the bits that eventually is basically going to be his skin. He don't wear socks. He's not like one of them, you know. And I suppose this technique here as well is the same technique as you could apply to painting any orc, you know. I'm painting my friend's orc army currently for 40k. And it's, you know, they work well with different browns and different metals and things like that, you know. So if you have any suggestions as to what colour team I should do, I know they're all like black, aren't they? Black armoured from the actual box game, but I don't know. I don't know if I should make my own team up. What do you think? I like the idea of the special characters. I think if you've got Varag Ghoul Chewer playing in your team, he's turning up in his own kit, isn't he? Let's be honest. However, for my orcs, maybe we'll try something a bit different. Okay, same again. Look, I'm just going back over, you know, just really sort of making sure I'm happy with the application, and then we're just going to go pick out any further on his shoulder pad. Ideally, I'm trying not to touch his black armour. It may be that we do. You know, it's one of those things. Like, you know, it's just one of those things. Unfortunately, I ain't got the steadiest hand in the world, and we do our best, don't we? He's got a strap there, I think, has he? Yeah. So I'm picking out any straps. And the boots, just so it's different, basically. I don't know if he'd use leather or whatever. I don't know, but I just want the colours to be slightly broken up. Okay, he's got a strap there, hasn't he? He wants to hold in his helmet on. You know, don't be afraid to experiment with your colours. You know, he's got him on the back there, hasn't he? So I think that is like a folded over strap. So sometimes we'll perhaps paint over a colour that we've applied previously because we only need to get the buckle underneath something or something like that. There we go, we're getting there. We're getting there. There's a skull, which is part of his helmet. There's a good example. Like we've covered the majority of that silver up, just leaving the bit underneath, so to speak. Just going to go up the side of the skull there. Seems to be like almost nailed in. You do with an orc, eh? What are you doing? Getting there? Getting there. That seems to be some form of like teeth, bone or something like that. So we'll do the strap of that aspect there, and then obviously we'll approach bone in a different way. Next thing that he has, I think we've got the straps. Do shout out. He has gloves on. And we're going to do this the same colour, guys, so I just need a bit more paint. Onto the palette. A bit of water in there. Let's have a look. Okay, so definitely the big gloves on. I don't know if they're open fingered, we'll find that out in a second, eh? So what? They are, look, they're like, he has like a strap through the middle of his hand. So obviously there's spikes on these as well. We're going to go over those in brown at the moment. Okay. There we go. And then obviously that seems to be a little strap there. Really looking forward to playing Blood Bowl. It was a long time ago when I first played it as a young well, as a kid basically. I remember the styrofoam pitch. Styrofoam pitch, that was it. On this side, so we've got, yeah, the lights sort of like, no, like greaves? No, I really need to learn like where my armour sits, don't I? I think that's metal, so we're gonna. Yeah, it is. Look, it's got metal plate, which is fine because we're gonna come in and pick up some other metal in a second. So yeah, it's like a grip thing he's got, hasn't it? Attached to his glove. Okay. Doing the back of his glove. So it's like a sort of metal plate which is attached to his glove. It's like a really cool knuckle though, so basically. There we go. So we've got that there. We're getting there, right? One of the last things we're going to do as well, guys, we're going to just thin that paint down slightly. And we're going to give the horns a basis of it, okay? All will become clear later on. His tusks, there we go, tusks, that's the word. Orcs like tusks, don't they? There we go. And obviously he's got a ghoul impaled on one here, which will do exactly the same. Again, not worrying too much about getting on the goal. There we go. Okay. So, we are getting there. Yeah. This is obviously a thinner sort of application to the tusks. The idea there is obviously, if you look at tusk, like a tusk for example, it's not just one colour. They sort of like have a brown into bone look to them. So that's what we're going to sort of go for. So I'm happy with those coverage. Yeah, there we go. So let's wash the brush out. And we're going to pick our next metallic colour, which we're going to use some Hashut copper, which you really need to shake. my friend's paints that he popped in with the commission, so I'm quite keen to try it. I've not tried it before. That noise was a ball bearing that he puts in. So if you've got any paints that are difficult to shake up, put a ball bearing in there, and it helps. It's like a rattle can effect, basically. Top tip for you, straight from the desk of Joe. All I'm going to do, I'm just going to pick out in copper this aspect here, just to break this metallic up. And around the other side of it. Things like coppers and that work really well for orcs. You know, like when I'm painting his army, I'll break up all the metallic with a bit of copper. They hammer anything together, don't they, at the end of the day? They're not too fussed, so we've just picked that out on there. Going around, I'm going to leave his tusks. He's got that plate on the back of his glove as well. We'll do that in copper. Just breaks it up, doesn't it? Okay. There we go, so that's going to take 2 coats. So what I'm going to do is let him thoroughly dry. I'll give that copper another coat, and then I'll come back to you. There we go. So we're getting there, aren't we? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do his skin. Now, I'm going to do his skin now, and eventually when I come to apply a wash to tie the entire model together, that's fine. And the reason I'm doing that is because he's a black orc. Orcs get darker the bigger they are, basically. General rule of thumb, black orcs are your darkest ones, standard orcs, and goblins are obviously your lightest ones. I'm using wire flesh. Okay, bit of wire flesh. Okay, just as a good sort of layer, isn't it? And it really is, guys, as easy as I'm just picking out any area that I think is his skin. See on there. It's not easy being green, eh? And we're going to try and obviously be as neat as possible and capture the correct areas now, because we're getting to the stage where we don't want to be going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So, and again, we're just gradually building this colour up, and this is going to be our layer, our base for this colour. Okay, and there's a lot of different shades and so on and so forth, but once you get it all tied together, as smooth as possible, obviously. I'm going to put a bit more water in there, into my mix. There we go. Okay, he's got an area of skin there. Under his arms. Okay. You know, basically what I'm doing, I'm doing the skin before I do the armour, because that means that I can get up to the correct sort of edges with the skin, and it doesn't matter if I've got it on the armour, because I'll be giving that a layer of bad and black anyway, just to make sure that it's all neat. Orcs look so much better, don't they, once you've got the skin done? Or at least painted in there anyway. There we go, he's getting there, eh? Okay, other arm. It's just, you know, painting's all about sort of like building it up to your art's content, if that makes sense. Think about what colour something probably would be if it was real. That's like the best tip I could probably give for painting. There we go. And don't be afraid to try something new. Try a new process, new technique, whatever it may be. Okay, and the beautiful thing about painting, you get in the wrong place, you can go over it again. Like that. I think that may be his helmet, but we'll do it anyway. Face has obviously got lots of scars and things like that on it. We're going to give the whole thing a wire flesh to start with, down to his gums. On the inside there, just to make sure I capture any sort of sides of the head and things like that. He's getting there. In there, yeah, that's a bit of a tricky one. Whoop, there we go. Under his arm. There we go. So we shouldn't get in there. Once you start blocking in these colours, it really does start to bring your model to life. You know, and it's all just about take your time, make sure you're happy with it. It's your model, no one else's, you know. Take your time and make sure you're happy. Going over in multiple thin layers is better than one thick layer. Okay, just, you know, just keep applying it till you're happy with the result. Now the hands, I'm going to do the entire hand. I'm trying to avoid the straps, because as we noted, he's got these straps, hasn't he? And we're going to go over to the nails as well. I will do the nails a different colour, but we'll get the skin down first. Okay. As always, guys, for these videos, thank you for watching. If you have any painting tips or techniques, please share them. You know, we have a lot of guys say, oh, I do this and I use this and stuff like that, and it's all good, isn't it? You know, that's what it's all about, sharing the techniques, sharing them between each other. That's part of the community, and thank you for anyone that does that. I think we're getting somewhere. He's got some serious armour plates on, hasn't he? So we're almost there. Are we almost there? Yeah, getting there, aren't we? Okay. So I think that is actually part of his metal. Yeah, it is. So like there, for example, we spotted... oh, actually, this is part of his metal glove thing, which is absolutely fine. So we're just going to paint around it, and then we're going to go back to it with our metallics. Okay. The key I'm getting here is I just want to be happy with that base layer of skin. So it gives us that foundation for all the work we're going to do later on. Okay. Go. Okay, so that's his skin in there. Just double check the back, see if we can get around to the back of his neck there. I think we can, so we're just going to apply a bit of green in there just to make sure that we cover it in case it is there. There we go. So I'm not going to go lighter than that at this stage, because when we wash this down, it will darken it. And he is a black orc. Okay, so there's that skin aspect there. What we're going to do, the side of that glove that we spotted, I'm going to go back to our original metallic colour, our lead Belcher. I still have some on my palette, you see here, so I'm going to still like the fact that we've got that copper in there. Very strange, it seems to have like one side on it, not another. Perhaps that's how it's supposed to be, I don't know. But we'll leave it at that, okay? We've got like little joins around. Okay. I'm going to leave his skin to dry, and then we're going to come back, base cut the ghoul, do the bone, do his tuft, and then we'll touch the armour, and then we'll have to give him a wash. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the bone areas. Now, if you look at like a warthog, for example, horns aren't all one colour, and that's why we applied our brown initially. So, what I'm going to do, using a shafty bone, we're now going to create some interest on those horns. And you know what? It is actually very easy to do, guys. If you use this one, for example, I want it lighter at the end than at the bottom, and I'm just stroking it up like that. That's it, done. Yeah, it really is as simple as that at this stage. Going into his tusks here, now bear in mind that they would be, the ends are capped, so we're going to work back away from the end. Just until we're happy with it. Yeah. And the final sort of highlights on these will make this pop. Remember, at this stage, we are prepping essentially everything. For our wash that'll come in. Okay, so they're the tusks. Inside of there. I do like painting for you guys because I always spot things. Okay, moving on to the skull. So, the skull's dead easy. We're going to go straight in with the shafty bone. Again, don't be afraid to have to do 2 layers, 2 coats, whatever it is. Okay, we know that that's a skull. If it needs 2 coats, it needs 2 coats. There we go. Things like the tusks on the pad, the teeth, things like that. We're now going to touch on those as well. Okay, so he's got like these sort of, I think the teeth, I think they use it as money, don't they? Teeth or something. I don't know. There we go. To me, they can be bone because I think they look cool as bone. Varag himself has teeth, don't forget those. Dead easy at the minute, it's just picking them out like that. He has nails. Yeah. Thumbnail. just going through the whole miniature. He has a clenched fist, but there's still nails on there. Do you see what I mean? So under here, yeah. So prepping this level of detail, the sort of stage that we use on washout, we'll tie all this together for us. At least that's the plan. I'm also going to pick out some of the threads on his trousers. Just a bit of twine or whatever it is. Around the front, I'm going to go back over those just so they're a nice colour. Back over the skull just so that it's a fully sort of saturated bone colour. Yeah. Eyes and such, like currently we're just going to not ignore them, but we are going to come back to them at the next stage. Well, next stage I say after the main bit. That can be a bone. I imagine he'd probably keep the teeth of people he's blocked into the next week. From there, I think it's probably twines into. There we go. Now the ghoul, the majority of the ghoul is going to be ghoul coloured, but he does have a spine sticking out there, which we will do. Okay. Bone coloured for now. There we go. The rest of it's the horn that's gone through him, and then a buckle and things like that. Okay, shout out guys if you see anything I've missed. So we're getting there. Okay, so that's bone done. So what we're going to do now is move on to the ghoul skin. Now the ghoul skin, I'm going to do it Skarsnik green, and all will become clear. Because ghouls are struggling to open that one. Ghouls are like dead flesh, and Skarsnik green is a really sort of good base for that, like that death sort of look. And obviously there's like a strap around there, so we can pick the strap out in a second or two, but we're just gonna, again, just making sure that base layer's on there. Sure it's a reasonable coverage across the whole miniature. Under his hand. So basically guys, the way I paint, I block in my base colours, I wash it all together, and then I pick them out for the majority of stuff that I do. Certain things different, like my Necrons, I paint them differently. I don't use masses of contrast paint, I don't really use contrast paint at all, but there are methods you can use contrast paint on, and they look great, you know. It's just, for me, it's just, I've never really tried them, if I'm honest with you. I may try them in the future, who knows. If you've got any methods for contrast painting orcs, you know, let me know. Great. If you've painted up Varag, or you think, you know what, oh, my contrast method probably really helps on me, let me know. Yeah, so I'm just picking out the colours on there. Obviously there's this aspect of a belt buckle holding this carcass on his shoulder, because every good Orkney attempts a battle with a carcass. I say battle, play Blood Bowl with a carcass on him. Okay, so we're just picking it out, building up the colour as we go. Simple as. There we go. So I'm just going to keep building this up, guys, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so that's the ghoul nicely coated. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to pick out the straps on the ghoul and then do his tuft of hair. I'm going to do it red, like a gothy sort of colour. For the straps, I'm just going straight back to my Mornfang brown. Don't need a great deal back on the palette. Touch of water. And I'm picking out the straps. They're essentially they're fastening the ghoul to him. There seems to be one there. And around the other side, let's just double check that. There we go, look. And there's one there. The ghoul itself also has these things around, which we'll pick out in metal. And we also have he has like a strap around his arm, which we'll do in brown. Just break up that ghoul flesh, sort of colour. Yeah. There we go. So we're getting there. And the next thing we're going to do is pick out the red plume on top of his head. So clean our brush out. And we're going to break out our corn red for this. Give it a shake. Same again, guys. On the palette, touch of water. And away we go. Now we're just going to paint the whole plume that colour, and we're doing it dark again because he is a black orc. And it also gives us a good basis to sort of highlight up from, so to speak. Ooh. I've gone onto his little taffel, so we'll just wash our brush, just drag that across a few times. There we go. There we go. So he's really sort of coming together, so to speak. And this is just a base coat. So, you know, you could quite happily get to the base count and just stop and say, you know, I'm happy with that, and that lets me play. And that's me, you know, that's me. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. It's your hobby. Take it as far as you want. I like to get things painted. By no means a golden demon winner or anything like that. But I like to get stuff painted and it look as best as I can produce, and you know, you can play, and it just adds to the game, doesn't it? Yeah. There we go. That's his plume done, I believe. So, once again, guys, good job of painting. Yeah, there you go. So we've obviously had a little overspill onto the skull. Back to my skull, original bone colour, across the top. I'll just drag that down over there as well. So he's really coming together. What we're going to do now, I'm going to let this dry, and in that stage I'm going to go over all this black where there's bits that have gone over. I'm going to go over it in a bad and black. Okay, so when I've done that, I'll come back to you. There we go. So I've picked out things like his eye in red and gone over the ghoul a couple of times. So there's just a few final things I want to do to him before we apply our wash. The black, I've gone over that with bad and black, just neatened it up. And he's really getting there, isn't he? So what I want to do now is apply some sort of orky markings to his armour first, okay? And to do that, we are using Corax White. So same again, guys. Onto the palette. So of water. What I'm going to do here, on this shoulder pad, I'm literally going to do a sort of zigzag effect. Okay? And I'm freehanding it because he is an orc. And they're not renowned for artistic flair, are they? So being as careful as we can. Picking it up. Take your time. Okay. I'll get maybe one more in the corner down there, eh? Okay, there we go. So obviously we've gone over a little bit. No problem. Wash our brush and just push it away. Okay. It just gives him that painted armour effect, okay? And obviously we're not near finished on the armour. Not for the level that we're going to paint him to. But that, just again, straight away just breaks it up a little bit. So I'm quite happy with that, just as like that pop detail. You could do more if you wanted to. There's no sort of issues with that. I just think that breaks it up a little bit. Okay, the rest of the armour we're going to come to after we've washed him. So that's that detail on the shoulder pad. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use Ochre Camo. As a lighter colour. I'm just going to go over the top of the ghoul. Okay, just picking out those sort of highlights. Really sort of, you know, like generic here. Okay. Around the back. Think about where the light would fall. Back of his hand. There we go. It's just to add a bit of colour variation to it. Okay. At this stage now, I'm going to let him thoroughly dry, and then we're going to apply a wash all over the miniature. Okay, so I'm going to come back to you once he's thoroughly dry, ready for a wash. There we go. So we're now dry and ready to wash. So that's a really good base coat. Hey, you could play with him like that, couldn't you? Do your base, play with him like that, and away you go. So, but what I want to do is I want to shade him down so I can highlight him back up, and I'm going to use Army Painter Dark Tone. Okay, now this stuff's, I rate this stuff so much, and I get through an awful lot of it. As you can hear, that's the end of that pot. And all I'm going to do, guys, straight out, is I'm just going to paint it all over the model. Okay, easy as that, over the whole thing. Okay, and what this will do is skin everything. It will shade it totally down, as it suggests on the pot, and it will be a darker tone of every colour that is already on there. Okay. I'm not a massive fan of Army Painter's actual miniature paints. However, their tones I think are absolutely brilliant. I always have done from the first time I used them, and I thought, wow, this is a really sort of quick and easy way of doing a lot of work for you. There we go. I'm putting over everything, guys, black, everything. And I'm not being overly careful with where it's going either, if you noticed.
I am just literally applying it to the whole miniature over the white that we've done on the shoulder pads. I mean, it will, yeah, get your hands and things like that, but hey, that's what we're used to in the world of miniature painting, isn't it? So what you've noticed, probably note here, is that it really is starting to tie everything together. And it's, you know, if I've said this a few times, but I used to game with some guys that painted 30k armies, and they used to put a base coat down, get it a wash, get a load of weathering powders on it, and it worked for them, you know. And to be fair, the stuff looked really good. Yeah, it's just one of those things, I think. This blade at the back. There we go, over everything. Absolutely everything. It's a quick and easy sort of, almost like a cheat method, I guess, of adding that tone and that colour depth to a base coat. And when you combine this with highlighting back over the top of it when it's dry, you get some really good effects. Okay, I'm going on the Ghoul as well. Like that, for example, we gave it a two-tone highlight, and look at the muscle definition you're getting on there already. Quick way of painting zombies, things like that. And that's not a knock of people who want to highlight things up from various different colour layers. You want to do that, crack on, that's brilliant, you know. If that's how you want to paint your miniatures, you do it. This is my method of getting things ready for the tabletop or the pitch surface or whatever you want to say in a relatively quick and easy time. So there we go. So what we're going to do now is leave him to thoroughly dry. So I'm just making sure I've got the tone everywhere. Underneath, all, there we go. Okay, so that's him thoroughly washed, and I'm going to make sure the tone's spread. Now leave him to dry, so it'll be overnight for me. You don't have to leave this overnight, it's just how the timing's worked out today for me. So I'm going to leave him to dry overnight, and then I'll be back to you in a matter of seconds. And there we go, so he's dried nicely overnight, and that's the wash done. So give you an idea, there we go. So that would be more than passable on the pitch top to play your games, you know, do your base, things like that. So what I'm going to do is take that to the next level, but I'm going to do that in part 2, because obviously this is getting a long video. So part 2 will be up in a couple of days, guys. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I'll try and link part 2 in the description when it's out, and vice versa. Yeah, so there you go. There's Varag Ghoul Chewer. I think that is quite a standard sort of tabletop, and it's base coat and wash, and it really is sort of as easy as that. I'm going to take him to the next level in part 2, but if you want to leave it there and play with your models, by all means. So happy hobbying, happy blood bowling, and as always, guys, stay safe.